Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again, it is Sunday, and that means it's time for the Texas Gun Vault Poll Question of the Week. This is a weekly vlog where I ask you guys, as my viewers and subscribers, about something that deals with firearms culture, or maybe even current events that I want to get your thoughts and opinions on. This week's question deals with the prevalence of many companies producing retro guns, whether they be pistols, long guns, you name it. There seems to be kind of a divide in the firearms world, and I think I see it more than anyone else as a YouTube content creator. Of course, we're always going to have the infighting between the AR guys and the AK guys. But I've noticed there's kind of a divide as well between the people that really like these retro guns and people that kind of think they're overpriced and stupid. So I wanted to get your thoughts and opinions. So with that said, let's dive right into this week's question. In the recent past, I have featured some range reports and unboxings of firearms that are built and marketed as retro guns. Essentially, these are modern manufactured versions of firearms that pay homage to great or popular designs of the past. Some of these would include the Glock P80, Colt M16A1 reissue, and the CZ75B Retro. As a gun owner, do these types of guns interest you, or are they just gimmicks that gun companies can use to make collectors part with more of their money? So as I said, I've noticed as a content creator, there seems to be two types of people. Whenever I bring out these retro guns, I'll have the people that say, wow, those are so cool, I wish I had one or could find one here at my local gun store. And then I have the other people that go, man, you wasted your money, you need to go buy an original, that's a piece of junk. And they just want to tell me how wrong my purchase is and how stupid I am. So let's see the results and what you guys actually think as a group. With only 605 votes this week, we have retro is the way to go. Old gun designs are cool, 41%. I could take them or leave them. A gun is a tool, not a gimmick, 46%. Avoid them. They're not as good as the originals and cost too much, 11%. And something else, explain in the comments, 3%. Now you guys know that I am a collector. I love the history of guns, and I love anything that is cool, unique, and different. So I think you guys already know how I would vote in this poll, and you guys have already seen many of the other videos of guns that I personally bought and own. So you guys know where I stand on this. The results of this poll, honestly, kind of surprised me. I was expecting the first option to kind of win dramatically. And the main reason is anytime one of these companies comes out with something that is cool, unique, new, and retro that gives consumers what they have been begging for on the collector's market. So for example, a Colt Python. Well, those have only gone up in value. Everyone says, I want a Colt Python. Well, Colt reissues the Python, and granted, it has modern manufacturing techniques. They have to change a couple of things, and then everyone's like, that's a piece of junk. Why would you ever buy that? Well, there's only so many Colt Pythons out there, and if you actually want to have one, well, maybe this is a good way to go. I also get a lot of hate on many of my videos for this particular rifle right here. This is the Colt AR-15 M16A1 reissue. I know that there's some other YouTube channels out there that say, that's not perfect, it's not a great clone. I actually think it's pretty darn good. It was the only way that I was ever going to get, at the time, an affordable M16A1 clone. And it's marked with Colt. Now, a lot of people will hate me and say, not all the parts of that are made by Colt and whatever. But I personally love it. I bought this gun for me as a collector and someone that loves AR-15s and the heritage of the Colt company. And it's cool if those people don't like this. But this gun was marketed to somebody like me, and when these guns hit the shelves, even if people knew what they were and had seen all those negative reviews, they all sold out. Try getting one of these now. It's near impossible. I also have a pistol here on the table that I want to talk about, and it's one that came out pretty recently. And this is the Glock P80. So this is a reissue of the original Glock that turned into the Glock 17. Let me see if I can get it in focus there. But this is pretty much a copy of a Generation 1. Now everyone wanted a Generation 1. Why? Because they're rare and hard to get. Are they the best generation of Glock ever? Well, no, that's why there's 4 other generations. But it's just something about it that's cool, it's neat, it looks different. For some people, it could be a nostalgia factor. I know there's many people that may have grown up in the 60s and 70s, and a rifle like this is just what they learned to shoot on, and they want to recapture that. Or if you just absolutely love Glocks and just can't bring yourself to spend $1,500 on a really torn up and beat up Generation 1, well, now you can get one that's new. But when these came out, they sold out pretty fast too. So obviously there is a huge collector's market of people that want these retro guns, and that is why I thought the first option of this would win overwhelmingly. But let's go through each one of these and I'll tell you guys my opinions. We have retro is the way to go, old gun designs are cool. And you guys can already tell that is the one that I would have voted for. I think many of the advantages of these retro guns, number one, is if you have some of the originals, which cost a lot of money, they're collector's items, you don't want to shoot them, well, now you can have a gun that is pretty much close to what you have, but you can take to the range and not worry about hurting its value. Or if you're someone that just can't afford one of those older collectible guns because they're rare, they're not in production, and they're a limited number, well, now you can kind of live that fantasy out and own one of those guns. I think that's a huge advantage to these retros as well. Also, if you're just a collector and you have all the modern stuff and you just need that one thing to complete the collection, well, the retro is the way to go. And I also think from a business standpoint, the retros sell out. They make these companies a lot of money. Personally, I want the gun industry flourishing. I want them to make lots of money so they continue making awesome and cool guns going into the future. So for me, it's a win, 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 win. And if you don't like them, think they're junk, or whatever your opinion is that is negative, you don't have to buy them. When you see one on the store shelves, you don't have to pick it up. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to say anything about it at all or handle it. It's called freedom of choice. It's called capitalism. But that's the one thing about being a YouTube content creator that I just don't understand about the gun community. There's just so much hate that just because you disagree with somebody, whether they like a gun that you don't like or they don't like a gun that you like, you feel that you have to go out there and be as mean as possible to tell them how they're wrong and use the worst language you possibly can. I see it all the time. Then we have, I could take them or leave them. A gun is a tool, not a gimmick. 46%. Obviously, a lot of people voted for this. So I think this is more of the pragmatist approach, saying that, well, I think they're cool, I could take it or leave it. I'm not drawn to it simply because it is a retro version of the gun. But if I get an opportunity to buy one for a good price, I'll use it. After all, these are quality guns. There's a reason why people like the Glock Generation 1 or the M16A1s, because they're still relevant. They're great guns. They were back then, they still are today, so they have a place and a purpose from a practical standpoint. So if you get a good deal on one, maybe take them up on it. Then we have avoid them. They're not as good as the originals and cost too much. Only 11% on this one. I know there's a lot of people out there in the gun community that are kind of elitist. As I mentioned, when it comes to this particular rifle right here, there are many people online that every time I talk about this rifle will say, you need to go watch this channel's video on it. You're going to learn that you paid way too much and it's a piece of junk. And then I say, well, number one, I didn't pay that much for it and it's my gun. And I'm actually really happy with it. I am so glad to have this particular rifle in my collection. I absolutely love it. Is it an absolute perfect clone of the original? No, there's a couple things that I can nitpick, but I love it. It's my gun. It's my money that I spent on it. So why do you get so upset with me? Because I bought it and it's in my collection. If you don't want it, no one's forcing you to buy it. But let me tell you, if you want one and there's only 2,500 of them, you're going to pay a lot of money now, because obviously a bunch of other people want it too. The one thing I try not to be here in the gun community is elitist. I know we always have our own personal biases. We always think that we're right. Well, I know I'm right. I know that you think you're right. But all joking aside, being elitist and looking down on other gun owners is not something that brings the community together. I've said many times on this channel that we're all in this together. While I might not be a hunter, I support people to buy all of the hunting shotguns that they want. If they want to get everything in camo and all they care about is double-barrel shotguns, that is their right, and I support their right to do it. I think it is absolutely incredible, and I will fight for their right for those things, just as I hope that they would fight for my right to be a collector. I know there's other people out there that like the games, the sports, the shooting competitions. That's all they care about is how fast can they make their gun. They are going to spend all the money on trying to get the trigger down from 3.5 pounds to 3.4 pounds. That's perfectly fine too. They don't care about collectors like myself. I've had a couple of competition shooters that I've known in real life that look down on me as a collector. They've said, quote, "You're just one of those 2A collectors." Well, I don't look at them and go, "You're just one of those competition shooters." I go, "Wow, that's awesome that you do that. Might not be my type of thing, but I support your right to do it. We're all in this together because we all love firearms, we all love the Second Amendment, and we all love liberty and freedom." So try not to be elitist if you're one of those people. And then finally, something else explained in the comments, only 3%. So let's dive right into this week's top-rated comments now that you guys know how I stand on these issues. With the top-rated comment of the week, we have Litzine Zoots, who says, "I love progress made through science and engineering. Give me improvements in weapons and ammunition. However, sometimes love and nostalgia and memories tantalize my eyes. I currently have 2 weapons purchased solely because I had shot them as a 10-year-old, and those brought forth special memories for me from half a century ago." You know, I can tell you the older I get, the more I understand the power of nostalgia, wanting to recapture your youth, trying to go back to those very fond memories. Sure, the guns of the past might not be as practical as modern day guns. Maybe the materials are so much better today, whatever the reason is, but there's still something about those old designs that just bring back memories, and that is priceless. It's something that you cannot put a price tag on. Because when it's all said and done, you can't take these guns with you. You can't take your money with you. All that you can really value is the experiences of your life. And if it helps you relive those from a childhood, all the better. Then we have Pistol Packing Pilot. "I don't discriminate. I love all guns, even those that are old, or those that are not so old, but dressing up to look old. I love them all, and I love variety." I can definitely concur. Variety is the spice of life. Let me tell you what. So yes, I completely agree with this. I just love guns. Now, just because I like a gun doesn't mean I necessarily want it in my collection. There's many guns that I am very fortunate to get the opportunity to shoot on this channel that I really like. But I may not like it enough to go out and buy, but I still go, wow, that is a cool gun, and I can understand why others would as well. Then we have Stevo545, who says, "When it comes to firearms, I like them. I like cars when it comes to vintage pieces. Classic vintage styling with some modern manufacturing, such as a Resto Mod Chevelle I had, and usually without the collector's price tag." I like how he makes the analogy to cars, and I understand this too. I have a 1969 Camaro. Mine's really stock, but I can definitely appreciate the Resto Mod. And essentially what that is you take all of the modern amenities and technology that goes into modern cars and you put it in the shell of a car from the 1960s or 70s. So you get the look, you get the styling, but you get all of the modern amenities. And you can do that with firearms too. So I completely think that is a cool idea, and I like it when people do that. People can dress up an old gun with modern stuff. It's a blend of the old, a blend of the new. Then we have Matt Moore, who says, "Nothing beats or comes close to the original. That being said, there are some guns that are for practical reasons unobtainable. I'm generally hesitant buying reproduced classics unless they are both extremely well made and it's a firearm that I would enjoy shooting. From a collector's perspective, reproductions generally don't hold value. From a practical use perspective, there are generally better options with modern firearms. So for me, it would have to be an old gun that I love but can't buy an original, and one I would really enjoy shooting. I have a few like that, mainly old school kit built AKs, since you can't really buy those as they were originally issued, but mostly my collection falls into either antique original firearms I inherited or modern production firearms I purchased." So I think Matt is taking a very pragmatic approach to it. And this is also what is really cool about the gun community and the car community, getting back to the last comment. Just because we are into different things doesn't mean we're not all part of the same community. We're still doing this for the same reasons. Your interests might be just a little bit different than mine. And I can tell you, Matt has a fantastic firearms collection. I've been honored to shoot many of his great guns. And then last, we have Eric Ogg, who says, I'm somewhat between interested or avoid. I'm happy for reissues or other brands making classics, but they have to have no reason to be high priced unless mechanically better. Like those Rossi 357 lever, its MSRP is around $500 to $600, or the Cimarron revolvers, not as good as the original, but functional and reliable for far less. Now, this is one of the complaints that a lot of people say about these retros, and maybe I should have talked about this with Matt's comment, talking about them not holding their value. I tend to disagree because they're usually limited production and limited run guns. The price of a gun is just like a car. It is worth whatever somebody is willing to pay for it. You know, you can have an MSRP on a particular gun, even a modern gun. Let's talk about the HK SP5. Those, I believe, have an MSRP of around $3,200, but you'll easily see those go on GunBroker for $4,000, $4,500. Why? Because the supply is limited and somebody is willing to pay for it. And that's the most important thing. And as time goes on and these guns are out of production, now the repros are out of production. Well, people are going to pay more and more and more for them. Will they ever be worth as much as the originals? Well, probably not. But I think they go up in value just the same. It's all about what somebody's willing to pay. I can tell you that I'm guilty of this. That I have found out that there were guns that were made in the past that are no longer made, that might not necessarily be classics, but I have to have it because I think it is cool. A good example would be an FN High Power with the SFS factory trigger in it. When I discovered they only imported those for 2 years and I discovered what it was, I had to have one and I tracked one down. And trust me, I paid way more for it than what the original buyer did. But I had to have it for my collection. And there might be people that will look at this gun or this rifle 10, 15 years in the future and go, I have to have that M16A1 reproduction. I just need it for my collection. And they will pay whatever it takes to get it. So there you go. That is the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. I hope that you guys found the responses kind of interesting. I know I did. If you guys want to participate in next week's poll, please go to the community tab of my YouTube channel. It will be posted there. There will also be a link in the description below. So just click that, go over there and vote, comment, and like other people's comments so we can get the top rated comments of the week. So let me know if you have any questions, and in the comments of this video, let me know. Do you guys like to collect these retro guns? I know that I do. So until next time, let me know if you have any questions. And as always, thanks for watching.